The old house on Willow Lane had been abandoned for years, but its reputation for being haunted never faded. Locals whispered tales of strange noises, shadows that moved on their own, and a feeling of being watched. When Sarah inherited the house from her estranged aunt, she decided to spend a weekend there, hoping to sell it quickly afterward. The house was even more decrepit than she had imagined. The windows were cracked, the doors creaked, and the air was thick with the smell of mildew. Sarah felt uneasy as soon as she stepped inside, but she brushed it off as nerves. After all, it was just an old house, and the stories were just that, stories. The first night was uneventful. Sarah spent the day cleaning and unpacking, trying to make the place feel a little more like home. As night fell, she settled into bed with a book, trying to ignore the groaning of the old pipes and the creaking of the wooden floors. At around midnight, Sarah was jolted awake by a loud bang. Her heart pounded in her chest as she listened carefully. The house was silent, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't alone. She grabbed a flashlight and crept down the hallway, her bare feet cold on the wooden floor. As she reached the top of the stairs, she heard it again, a soft, almost imperceptible whisper. It was coming from the basement. Sarah hesitated, every instinct telling her to turn back, but she forced herself to move forward. She had to know what was causing the noise. The basement was pitch black and the air was damp and heavy. Sarah shone her flashlight around, illuminating old, forgotten furniture and stacks of dusty boxes. Then she saw it, a small door in the far corner, half hidden behind an old bookshelf. She had never noticed it before. With trembling hands, Sarah pushed the bookshelf aside and opened the door. It creaked loudly, revealing a narrow, spiral staircase leading down into the darkness. The whispering grew louder, more insistent, as if beckoning her to come closer. Against her better judgment, Sarah descended the stairs. The air grew colder with each step, and the darkness seemed to press in around her. Finally, she reached the bottom and found herself in a small stone chamber. In the center of the room was an old wooden box covered in dust and cobwebs. The whispering stopped as soon as Sarah approached the box. She hesitated, her hand hovering over the lid, but something compelled her to open it. Inside, she found a collection of old, yellowed letters tied together with a ribbon. The letters were addressed to her aunt, but they were signed by someone Sarah had never heard of. As she began to read, the temperature in the room plummeted. The letters spoke of a terrible secret, a forbidden love, a betrayal, and a vengeful spirit that had cursed the family. Sarah's blood ran cold as she realized that the spirit was still here, trapped in the house, waiting for someone to release it. Suddenly, the door to the chamber slammed shut. Sarah dropped the letters and ran to the door, but it wouldn't budge. The whispering returned, louder and more urgent, filling the room with a sense of dread. Sarah pounded on the door, screaming for help, but no one could hear her. As the whispering reached a deafening crescendo, Sarah felt something cold brush against her skin. She spun around, but the room was empty. The whispers grew louder, surrounding her, suffocating her until she couldn't breathe. The last thing she heard was her own scream, echoing in the darkness. When the neighbors found the house the next day, it was empty. The door to the basement was locked, and there was no sign of Sarah. The only thing left behind was a single letter lying on the floor near the front door. It was addressed to Sarah, and it read, "The curse is yours now." The house on Willow Lane remains abandoned to this day, and the locals still talk about the strange noises that can be heard at night. Some say it's the wind, but others know the truth. The spirit is still there, waiting for its next victim.